Terry, tell me something that really fascinates me. A lot of people are talking at the moment. There's a lot of stuff being written about sort of a new consciousness in the world. And people are telling me they can feel it. I sometimes think I can feel it myself. And I know that talking to people, it's like talking to people that maybe even a few weeks ago wouldn't even have dreamt of thinking of anything sort of spiritual, but are now, really starting to think about and embrace some of this stuff. Tell me about your experience of this, and what do you think is happening?
Yeah, well, first of all, experience for me is very real. I call them waves of energy.
Yeah.
There was a wave that came in the 70s, and it's spent. It's not like it's over, but it's like watching a wave in the ocean coming up on the beach, and that wave does what it does, and the next one comes in.
Yeah.
Some of them are big, and some are smaller, and this one coming in is a good sized one. And I meditate every day, and anybody who does any of this, whatever kind of work you want to call it, transformational education or spiritual study or all the names it has, I just call it the work. Anybody who does the work in some form of it will advise to do some form of meditation or spiritual exercise or inner quiet time or however it's characterized.
Yeah.
I've been doing that regularly for 30 plus years, 2 or more hours a day often. And the information comes in the quiet. It comes from the inner, and so we got to get quiet and go inside. Anybody who's doing that is going to tap into this somehow because it's out there. I've been, the way it's been characterized to me is a move from me to we.
Yes.
What's happening is how to work more cooperatively and less competitively. How to be more of a giver than a taker or receiver. How to be, how do we work together? How do we get past just the good idea that we're all one and experience it and come from that place.
Yes.
And whatever I do to you, I'm doing to me.
Of course.
I don't want to hurt me.
Yes.
I want to help me. So how can I help you?
Yeah.
With my business clients, I've been doing this for quite a few years. Where one of the concepts is the way I get more is by supporting you to get more. Rather than how do I climb to the top? How do I get the next promotion? How do I get the biggest raise? How do I support you to get that if that's what you want?
Sure.
How do I support you to do your job?
Yeah.
And if I can do that unconditionally and unselfishly, there'll be a return to me. And so it isn't so much as...
And there doesn't have to be a return, really. It's not an expectation, is it? Is that what you're saying?
It's not an expectation of a material return. But it's a knowing there is a return. And, for me, it's most often been invisible. I mean, it's an experience. It's not a thing. It's just more joy or more gratitude or more laughter or more ease or more something that's an internal experience,
right,
which is more valuable than the wealth I've accumulated and lost, and that trip.
Yeah.
So and it is interesting. I mean, I can say I was one of the pioneers in this large group educational transformational experiential learning process. And I look back and I feel very fortunate to have been. My teachers and the people I worked with in the 70s were some of the seminal workers in this. And I've been with it long enough to see the evolution. And remember what it was like. If I mentioned the word spirit in a training, or an introductory even back in the 70s, they'd jump all over me. I mean, it was reaction. It was for the most part. Now it's not. There's not that reaction. There's more of an acceptance and a willingness or a curiosity. So I've seen evidence of the progress. And it's easy enough to see that, nothing's changed. I mean, humans are still fighting and going to war, and peace will never happen, and blah, blah. But you can also look and see it's this inside-out process it is expanding. And if I look at that, I'd say it's very hopeful.
It's interesting, actually. You go slightly personal now because, as you remember, well, you probably don't remember specifically, but it's almost 20 years ago now when I did your leadership training here in London. Wow. And I did 1991, and it was fantastic. But you know what? I picked out my journal the other day, and I've still got my journal and all the stuff I wrote in it. And the stuff that that you were teaching us then, is very much what's now coming to the fore. And I'm not saying this to, say what a brilliant guy you are, or because you don't need that anyway. But it's like the point of the question is, it's almost as if we've known this stuff, and yet there's part of us that, for me, for example, it's like how do I really apply it? For example, this concept of oneness and all the good stuff around quantum physics, which makes so much sense, that we're all one. But it's actually, how do we go out and apply it, as if, without faking it to make it? Did you have a sort of take on that?
Yeah, well,
Of course you do. Sorry, yeah.
I mean, that's a great question,
Yeah.
and it's the most important thing is to have the intention to apply it.
Yes.
We don't need to know how.
Yes.
We need to get to the place where that's important to me. And I want to go that direction. And I just take the step that's in front of me to take.
Yeah.
And it will reveal itself. But, the most practical thing I've learned is, and the way I say it, is where I look is where I go. So if I focus on the intention of oneness, I'm going to go there. If I focus on the separation in the world, the Israelis and the Palestinians, the Catholics and the Irish, or the Protestants, the Muslims and the Christians, and I can see the separation. There's evidence of that. And I will go there. And if that's the concern, if I'm focusing on how do we prevent terrorism, I'm just going to create more separation.
Because you're giving energy to terrorism.
Giving energy to terrorism.
Yeah.
The simplest way I know to say it is, everybody who's had a child has experienced this. Don't spill the milk. Every parent has gone through that experience.
Yeah. It's the blue tree, isn't it? Syndrome. Don't think of a blue tree.
Yes.
What do you think of? Yeah.
And it's there, and then it manifests. I mean, and then we call it reality. And it's our reality because it's where our focus is. It's where we're directing the energy. Or another way is to say that's the filter I've created, and so that's if I've got red glasses on, I see a lot of red. That red is determined by my focus, which is determined by my belief system.
Yeah.
So if my intention is to believe that there's oneness, even though I don't believe it yet because I look around and all I see is the separation and war, but my intention is to have more of this compassion and loving and connection and oneness, that's putting on a different colored glasses, and it's going to filter in more of that, because that's out there too. I look back, I just feel so blessed that the last 32 years I've been doing this, I've lived in a wonderful world. I mean, my world, my environment is full of beautiful people. It's just great people and wonderful experiences and amazing things. And, and it's, in a way I say, I've been trading through life in this protected bubble. But it's the bubble that I created. Yeah. And it's not uniquely me. I mean, there's nothing special about me except I made some choices. Yeah. And that's the cool thing. I mean, if I can do this, I consider anybody can do it. And do what? I mean, I don't consider I'm anywhere near done. I'm still a student. I'm maybe out of kindergarten in third grade by now or something like that.